Man, do I fucking hate my job. And it's not because I'm one of those lazy, unmotivated young people who just doesn't want to get up and work. No, I work my ass off, and most of my coworkers would probably tell you the same thing. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get about 10 minutes to remember who I am, and then start an hour and a half commute to Winchester, functioning like a sewer rat that dumped Red Bull all over itself and bumped a line of Coke. Most mornings I wake up completely against my will, but I get up and do it anyway because really what does complaining accomplish? Granted, I do have an entire source file of complaints prepared for this exact occasion. I'm an area lead in a department where we basically pack and ship tilt trucks. And if you don't know what a tilt truck is, it's essentially a giant dumpster with wheels. Very convenient if you've ever looked at a large amount of trash and thought, I wish this had transportation elsewhere. We've got half-yard carts, 1-yard carts, black rectangular totes that would make a phenomenal oversized jello mold if you exclusively bathed in gelatin, and we even have blue recycling variants if you still believe in hope. Anyway, my first issue is pretty simple. I do not get paid near enough to give a shit about 85% of the things they expect me to dedicate my life to in this place. Our area services 4 different departments in the plant, and we can barely keep people because the workload gets pretty ridiculous at times, which is crazy. Apparently people don't enjoy being worked into fucking mulch. Right now I have about 4 people in my area. I've been told before that realistically we should have closer to double that, but my team lead and supervisor, however, always hit me with, well, they never needed that many people before, and that's cool. They also didn't have this many SKUs before. They didn't have a new responsibility getting thrown into the department every other 48 hours, and they didn't have management crawling up our asses about 15 different things we physically do not have the time to do. And somehow I'm expected to run a congested, dysfunctional area while also getting talked to like I'm the asshole because 4 people cannot magically do the work of 8. It's actually kind of impressive. They expect us to operate permanently short-staffed while still producing the sheer dick-swinging manpower of a fully staffed crew. At this point, I don't even think of it as a job. It feels more like a prison labor camp with direct deposit benefits. And being overworked and underpaid already sucks, but it gets especially funny when you take on a leadership role, because you think taking on more responsibility would come with a nice little pay bump. Get more problems, more decisions, more boo-boos, scrapes, and ouchies. Maybe an extra dollar or two? No. I currently make less money than a temp associate who can walk in off the street tomorrow, and I'm the fucking area lead, and it's just humiliating. Because the weird part is, I could just stop giving a shit. I really could. I could come in, do the absolute bare minimum, watch everything catch fire, and go, damn, that's crazy. But that's not really how I'm wired, and that's actually why I hate the job, because I don't hate working. I hate working hard inside a system that seems completely uninterested in getting better. If half of the problems in my department were actually addressed, I probably wouldn't mind the job nearly as much. Or, for shits and gigs, maybe we could acknowledge the problems exist. We have staffing issues, space issues, quality issues, communication effort problems, equipment malfunctions, and a workload that does not accommodate any of that shit. You would think at some point somebody would go, hey, maybe we should fix that. You know, escalate it, send an email, mildly inconvenience somebody, and then everybody can go back to doing whatever the fuck they were doing before. Management always tells me, if you're having problems, let us know. Which sounds great on paper, except telling them about my problems usually creates several brand new problems. Sometimes they send me somebody from another department who has absolutely no idea what they're doing, and I have absolutely no time to train them. Sometimes they send me 5 equipment operators and nobody who can actually pack product. Sometimes they take one of my people away from me because another department is apparently the firstborn son of the fucking facility. Meanwhile, our area feels like it was added to the building in a fucking patch update. Nothing really ever gets fixed. Everything just gets pushed under the rug until the rug itself becomes a workplace hazard. And looking back at my decision now to take this job, there are a lot of things I would do differently now. That doesn't mean that I don't want to work hard. It doesn't mean that I don't want responsibility. I actually do. I like being useful. I like being good at something. But what I don't like is putting everything I have into a place and feeling like none of it actually matters. I just want to be compensated fairly for what I do, and I want to feel like the work has some kind of meaning behind it, Maybe I picked the wrong industry for that, because fulfillment and warehouse work don't exactly get mentioned in the same sentence very often unless it's in the same context. A lot of these jobs feel less like careers and more like places you end up because life happened too quickly. You got a family, you got bills, you need health insurance, and now they're going to hire 20 people for orientation this week, and 19 of them will disappear before lunchtime. So congratulations, you now have job security. But I think that's probably the biggest thing I've learned from working here, is that there's a difference between working hard and being valued for hard work. Those are not the same things at all. And if you're somewhere that constantly degrades you, ignores you, underpays you, or treats your effort like an unlimited resource they can keep pulling from, then eventually you have to ask yourself why you're giving that place so much of you. So no, the takeaway from this video isn't hate your job, it's actually the opposite. Find somewhere that respects what you bring to the table, and if a place repeatedly shows you that it doesn't, believe it and move on. Anyway, that's enough workplace therapy for one afternoon. I'll see you guys in the next one.